Hello everybody, and welcome back to the Star Wars Expanded Universe. Now we done by Disney, or current Lucasfilm, whichever way you slice it. Legends. Today I have for you issues 11 through 18 of Legacy 2, and we finish off the very end of the Star Wars Expanded Universe. The very, very, very end. Sadly. But there's still so much in the past to discover for the first time. What I will say for issues like 11 through 15, there's a lot of stuff going on with bounty hunters and whatnot. But mainly what it serves is sort of giving us more of a backstory for Anya Solo. We're still fuzzing the details of who her parents are and how she's related to the Fel Empire. In fact, she even calls herself a distant cousin, but she's not a Skywalker either. So it's kind of weird. And then we get to the last 3 issues, and we kind of just get the finale to the Legacy era. Overall, let me get to each individual issue without spoilers, and then I'll get to my overall thoughts before I get into spoilers. Issue 11, Minefields. Issue 12, Anya gets kidnapped. Issue 13, Anya versus bounty hunters, or bounty hunter, with an interesting weapon, might I add. Issue 14, Acid Rain. The planet they're on has a weird weather system, so it affects things, but it's basically continuing off of the last couple issues. Issue 15, Tribunal. Anna Solo gets captured by the Empire, and she has to, or the Triumvirate, and has to be in a tribunal to plead her innocence. Issue 16, my favorite issue of this entire series, is Red's backstory. Issue 17, All Out War. And then we simply have the finale to this series in issue 18. Overall, I really enjoyed the series. I would have liked to know some of the details about Anya Solo's past, like who her parents are and how she's related to everybody else. However, with the stuff we finally did learn about her, I do think she's a more compelling character for that. She's certainly not my favorite, but unlike before, I was like, who are you? Why should I care? I now see her as, not the best character, but she's a good character. AG-37, I've also liked his character. Zhao's fine. I don't hate him. I don't love him. He's just kind of there. And then I really like the Montgomery Suick. A lot of characters feel kind of not like themselves. Now, they fix it later on in this series with Marashi Fel, because she says, I have to have a face in front of the public, and I can't really show favorites. But like with Draco, for example, he literally defied his own emperor to go save her in the last series. And now he's saying there's nothing you can do. Zhao's gonna die for the same exact reason, basically. That just seems very hypocritical of him and unlike him. But whatever. Darth Red is certainly not a Darth Krayt. He's certainly not a Darth Kaitis. He is certainly not a Darth Vader. He is certainly not Darth Sidious. Not even close to Darth Bane. What he is, though, and the story did a good job because it made me think one thing of him, and it turns out to be entirely different. But he's unique, and of course he harkens back to Vader with the outfit he's wearing. But I think he was a good final villain for Star Wars. I also think There are some loose threads that could have been continued. For example, of course, this was Anya's story, but I would have really loved to see her interact with Cade Skywalker and friends. And I feel like that was a missed opportunity. And if Legends ever got continued, I would like to see them team up together. Because we actually do get to see Cade in a single panel, which was kind of annoying. Because it seems like they kind of went back to their old ways, which I guess it makes sense. But I just felt like he had such a character growth. I mean, I guess he's not, like, doing drugs anymore, but I don't know. I didn't think he would necessarily become a knight, but I figured he'd be on a better path. Maybe be helping people or something. So that was a little disappointing. By the end of this, it is seemingly like all possible threats are taken care of. Now, they say that most of the Sith kind of die near the end of the series. I'm not going to spoil anything, just... I guess I spoiled something, but whatever. But we didn't get to see Darth Nihil or Darth Talon, and I feel like they're such big characters that you would have seen them had they died. Which makes me think they're still out there. So, that could potentially be like a Legacy 3, where Cade and Anya and everyone meet up together to face the threat. I guess they don't really seem like that big of a threat, because they're kind of like minions. But you could probably work something in there, I don't know. But anyway, overall, was this as good as Legacy? No. Was this a bad comic series? No. I have to be honest, I mean, I know this is comic books, not novels, but I thoroughly enjoyed myself reading this far more than I ever did a large section of Fate of the Jedi, if I'm going to be completely honest. And the characters were fine. They're not the most deep characters I've ever seen, but I enjoyed what we got with them. And overall, it was a really good conclusion, I think. I feel satisfied with this series. So, I feel like it's a good end. Am I done with Star Wars? Oh, no, baby. We have so much to get through. So much that I did not go through my first try. So we're going to go through it again. I'm going to take a small break. I think I'm going to do some Halo novels. Maybe even review the games. Just a little break. Like a month or something. And then I'll start my journey from the very beginning with Dawn of the Jedi. So, if you're interested in that, subscribe. And if you don't want spoilers, it's time for you to click off. But if you're a veteran, or you just don't care about spoilers, join me as we discuss the last bit of the Star Wars Expanded Universe timeline. Right. So issue 11. There's a person looking for Anya, a bounty hunter, and she has a whip, just like Luminia, which is really cool to see again. Zhao finds a poster of Anya about how she apparently killed Imperial Knight. She claims to know nothing about this. We'll discuss that further as we head in. And then we meet a character named Ramed, who has had past relationship with Anya. We see them kiss. And this is where I finally realized, oh, we're going to get some backstory on Anya so I can care. And then she gets captured by Ramed and friends. Issue 12. We get a single mention of it. It's expanded upon a little bit more in further issues, but we learn that her and Ramed were in a prison camp together during the One Sith rule. The new Triumvirate finally do the smart thing. Now that Anya liberated Dak, they finally want to go do something about all the other Sith. Finally. Savik is a true friend. I like, or Suik, however you say his name, the Mon Calamari. I really like how he defends, because now Zhao starts being a bit suspicious of Anya and her motives, and he talks about, this might be later in the issue, or a different issue. No, it was in the same issue, but he talks about how, he was homeless, and how she helped him find a job for no other reason than because she wanted to be kind. And it's just other people talking about her that helps build up her character to be more meaningful. But that whole talk on the ship was really nice. Issue 13, Sith labor camp. This is continuing off of because while Suik, Zhao, and AG-37 are talking on the ship, Anya was fighting the bounty hunter with a laser whip, and then Rumid helps her, and now they're hiding, and they discuss how they were under a Sith labor camp, and he got shot, but didn't die. She didn't know that, and she left him to escape. And then in issue 14, we learn that the bounty hunter, that's issue 14. We learn about the Sith labor camp in issue 14. I'm sorry, it was kind of jumbled about. Issue 12 and 13 were basically Anya fighting, and then also the discussion on the ship. But issue 14, they escape, or Anya and Rumid escape, and they talk during the glass storm. They have like the ship on top of them, and they discuss that. We learn that the bounty hunter that's been chasing them took Anya's name. I didn't really feel this at all. This was probably the worst part of this entire series for me. So this bounty hunter is torturing and hurting people in this prison camp. And because Anya escapes, she gets in trouble for it, gets beat up, and then the camp is liberated, and so she takes her name to escape punishment. And then I guess because of the events earlier on in this series, now everyone knows what Anya's face looks like, so she can't pretend to be her. So she wants to give her a robot hand like hers, so that way she can be blamed for the killing of the Imperial Knight. I don't know, it just felt weak. I didn't care for it at all. But that's what happened. So we finally found out the mystery as to, did Anya solo kill Imperial Knight? No, it was this bounty hunter. But they eventually defeat the bounty hunter. But the Empire shows up, and they take Anya away. She goes to a tribunal, and she's going to get in trouble, but Zhao shows up with the robot hand of the bounty hunter and says, no, she didn't do that, and now she's cleared. But now it's time for Zhao to be executed because he abandoned his post or whatever. But at the very end, Darth Red shows up, and that's where the issue ends. Issue 16. Sorry, that's issue 15, where Zhao gives a sacrifice. I apologize. Where he, put during the tribunal. If you can hear anything in the background, I apologize. That's why I'm getting jumbled. Issue 16. Anya and Fel make a deal. Fel has to be the face of the Triumvirate, so she can't do anything. But if if Anya does stuff behind the scenes, then stuff can get done. So she goes to save Zhao. And in this issue, we learn about Red's backstory. How he had this village on this planet, and how he had learned about the Jedi, but they had been purged because of Crate. So he tried to emulate what he'd heard about the Jedi. So he makes this other tribe that was attacking his village. So he, crafts his own sword. He can't make a lightsaber, but he makes a sword. And he used to be the hunter. He's the hunter of his village. When people want to make sure they don't miss a shot, they go to him. Sorry if you can hear that. Again, I apologize. Living with other people makes stuff difficult. Anyway, so whenever somebody needed to make a perfect shot, they went to him. So he knew that he had like force potential. And so when the other tribe came, he slaughtered them and he saved his village. Unfortunately, the one Sith would later show up because he considered himself the guardian of his village. He was the Jedi Knight of his village. But the one Sith came, and when he went to face them, he was hopelessly outmatched. First off, he didn't have a lightsaber. Secondly, he had no training, so he was utterly annihilated. He was taken captive, and his planet was used as practice for the Sith toxin that would be used on Dak and so many other worlds. And so, his entire planet gets annihilated. Kind of a Alderaan situation. And of course, as he's the last living remnant of his race, of his entire planet, he's taken under as an apprentice to be trained as a Sith with all that hate and rage. Unfortunately, by the time his training is mostly done, the one Sith had seemingly been defeated and gone into hiding. And so then we see the events at the beginning of the book where Yalta goes to the planet and the Sith kills his master and escapes. Everything kind of comes full circle. But I found it fairly compelling. It builds upon stuff that happened last time and gives an interesting, sad backstory for our new villain. And so I quite enjoyed that. And it's quite a different... It harkens back to a lot of other things that have happened with past, Sith, and, has its own unique spin because it's during this time period. There's a mention later on when we're with our allies where Suik says, "I hate to tell you, but this feels like it's a trap." And I knew that was a direct reference to episode 6 with Admiral Akbar saying that, so I thought that was cute. Then we get to issue 17. It's seemingly a good portion of the one Sith, if not basically all of them, forgetting a couple, show up to defeat Red, because they know he has been attacking all of them, so he must pay. So Anya and friends and Ret fight the one Sith. Later on, the Imperial Knights will join the fray as well, and it is a Kingdom Hearts massive clashing battle on this planet. Also, Red took Zhao to the planet. The dead planet that we found at the very beginning, I should forget to mention, is his dead homeworld. It wasn't blown up like Alderaan. It was just toxified and utterly destroyed to be this toxic planet. And so, that's basically the issue is basically all-out war, and they have to unwillingly work with Darth Red to fight, the one Sith. And then we get to issue 18. Empress Fel herself joins the fight after Draco is injured, and they are victorious. They defeat the one Sith. There are dead bodies littered everywhere. But then Ret attacks Fel. She does not die, but she is injured. So Zhao attacks him. Ret wants him to kill him, to end him. But Zhao refuses to kill him in anger. And then you find out the truth. Ret never wanted to bring back the Sith. He didn't want Bane's rule of 2. He didn't want the one Sith. He didn't want any Sith. He didn't want to be the only Sith. He wanted the Sith to end. If you can hear the screaming, I apologize. He wanted the Sith to end. And so, his plan was to have all those Sith die, and then to have him die, and to have the Sith finally be gone forever. Apologize for that. But, he won't do it. Zhao won't kill him. However, Anya has no problem shooting him, as she doesn't seem to have any force ability. Nothing to turn her to the dark side. Kind of like Han Solo. So, Red is dead. Now again, I feel like Darth Nihil, and Darth Talon are big enough characters from the last series that if they were going to die, we would have seen them die in here, which makes me think they're still alive. Now, as for the Sith being killed forever, I don't believe that. What I do think is this is truly going to be a long time of peace, whereas, there's 70, 80 years in between Crucible and then, and there's still stuff that probably happened in between that time, so the galaxy hasn't really, really, really been at peace. I think with this accomplishment that there really would be peace for a significant amount of time, with nothing really going on, besides, common criminals and bounty hunters and stuff like that. But as for the war with the Jedi and the Sith, it's over, at least for a while. At least for the Legacy era time. Darth Nihil and Talon are still around, and you could potentially do something with that. Like, if they ever continue the expanded universe and want to do a Legacy 3, I would personally really like to see Anya and her friends and Cade and everyone meet and finish off the Sith. And then you can have, 100-year peace, kind of like what, the Jedi thought they had in between Bane's trilogy and the prequel era, where they thought there was peace, and there was peace in the galaxy against the Sith because the Sith were working in secret. They weren't out fighting in the open, and they were fighting this contrived battle, this orchestrated chess piece game against the Separatists. But, you could have that kind of 100-year peace, but instead of it they're hiding the shadows, it's actually peace. Unless they wanted to, bring in Darth Talon and Darth Nihil, though I don't know how you could really do that because they were never much of a threat to begin with. But if they were going to do it, that's the only loose threads I can really see. Otherwise, they just hide for the rest of their lives in fear because they can't beat Cade, let alone the entire Triumvirate. And so you just have peace for a couple hundred years till inevitably someone either falls to the dark side or, I don't know. But I think it's a fine enough way to end Star Wars. Fairly satisfying and makes everything truly seem at peace. Loose threads kind of ended, minus Darth Talon and Darth Nihil. But I think it's good. I think it's, I feel satisfied. I feel like, if there is no more, if we never get Legends past this story, I'm fine. Now, I would like those gaps in between Crucible and the Legacy comics filled up, so that way there's this continuous story all the way up to this point. But I think if this was it, I'd be satisfied. But I would also welcome more. But this is satisfying to me. I mean, I guess people also felt that way with New Jedi Order. But I like all the stories that came after, even Fate of the Jedi. So I would approve of more, but I'm happy with this being the ending. Lastly, we cut to 1 year later, and our friends are, of course, getting into trouble. We do see Cade and friends for a solid second, it's a single panel. And again, that's kind of disappointing that we don't get to see more of them, but that is what it is. Zhao, instead of wearing the red Imperial Knight uniform, is wearing a white Imperial Knight uniform. And, Suik, Anya, Zhao, AG-37, they're all still together, pals, running away from whatever they just did. And that's just kind of the end. Overall, it has been a journey. I've said this before, but I watched episode 7 for the first time. I loved it. It was the first Star Wars movie that I personally got to see in theaters. I was too young when the prequels came out, so I only really saw them on DVD. And maybe I did see them in theaters, but I was too young to remember. I'm a 2001 kid. January I was born. So it was past my time. Then I watched episode 8. I knew nothing about the expanded universe. I knew nothing about Matt Wilkins. Nothing. All I knew is that I felt unsatisfied. And if you like the new movies, that's great. If you like the new canon, that's fantastic. I'm just telling you how I personally felt. I was so disappointed in episode 8. looking back on episode 7, I have a lot of issues with it. But episode 8, I was so disappointed. And I only saw episode 9 because my parents watched it. It was just kind of there. But what they did with Luke, I couldn't approve of it. Like, there's this part where, Chewie is Rey translates Chewie for Luke, someone who's known this person for decades. Who are you? Who are you to do that for him? That just annoyed me. And there's a lot of other things that I have issues with. Snoke ending up not being a threat. I know a lot of people think that's clever. I didn't. I'm like, what was the point of him then? I want to make this a Disney bash. If you like it, that's great. That's fantastic. I'm so glad for you. I didn't. But what I am thankful for the sequel trilogy doing is that it made me look elsewhere. And I don't even remember how, but I found Matt Wilkins. I found out, I know how it is. Kylo Ren was the most compelling character to me in the sequel trilogy. So I would look up stuff about him online. That's how I eventually found out about Darth Caedus, found out about this expanding universe. Then I find Matt Wilkins, start watching videos about the expanding universe, thinking, what is this world that I've never known about that's been decanonized by Disney? And so I started reading it. I, before they got deleted, listened to the Darth Bane trilogy on YouTube. Well, first I played the Knights of the Old Republic video game, just the first one, watched the Let's Play of 2. Then I read Darth Bane, or listened to it. I read Darth Plagueis, watched episode 1, watched episode 2, watched the Clone Wars, read a couple novels, like The Labyrinth of Evil, and then episode 3, and then you can see my playlist to kind of see what I've been reading. But basically, there's a lot of stuff I missed in between episodes 4 and 5, and a lot of stuff I missed in between 2 and 3, and before 1, and everything like that. There's a lot of stuff I missed. But I mainly wanted to see the story that took place after episode 6. So I was really excited for the Thrawn trilogy, and for New Jedi Order, and for everything like that. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt that everything that I've read post episode 6, specifically, there's other stuff that's good too, but it is truly, to me, a far better continuation of the movies. I love everything I read. Even the stuff I didn't care about as much, like Fate of the Jedi. I'm still so satisfied with it, more so than these other stuff. This is my Luke Skywalker, the one that I read about in these stories. This is my Han Solo and my Leia. Growing up, essentially, watching Jaina and Jason grow up, and then seeing where that all led was so compelling. Bringing a Clone Wars 3-arc story, bringing that back in a big way with original trilogy characters was so cool. Seeing a character that, I haven't read about, in the past yet, but I will, who knew about Anakin, who knew about, the prequel era stuff, interacting with post Return of the Jedi stuff was really cool. Cade Skywalker was a compelling character in his own right. And this series too, really good. And so, I just want to say that I'm so glad for Matt Wilkins. I'm so glad for everyone that loves the EU that I could find out about this. If you like Disney and you like the EU, I'm so glad for you. You have so much more to enjoy. You have the entire expanding universe, plus all the new stuff that they're making. Like, this must be a dream for you, especially with the new High Republic right now. This must be like the time to be alive for you. And I'm so happy that you have this content to enjoy. And The Mandalorian and all the other stuff they have in the works, like, you're probably so pumped, and that is fantastic. The more the merrier for you. That's great. I have no interest in the new canon. I know I have watched The Mandalorian. That's like the only thing from new canon that I've watched, besides the sequel movies. I'm not going to read the new stuff. So if that's something you're curious about me doing, I'm going to have to pass. I've heard the Thrawn books have been fantastic, the new ones. I have no interest. As for the High Republic, I also have no interest. I don't want it. I don't want to read it. I'm not going to. But if you like it, all the power for you. And I'll gladly watch videos that other people make about it. You know, whether they're hating on it or loving it, that's fine. Good for them. And I'll support them in that matter. But I'm going to stick with the EU, because the EU is the canon that I want to follow, is the one that I want to have in my mind, in my heart. Because I've always been a casual Star Wars fan. I've never really loved Star Wars until I read the Expanding Universe. Now I do. And so that's a big thanks to that. But it's been a journey. There's still a lot to cover, but it is just crazy that I've gotten to the very end of the timeline. So I hope you'll stick with me for all the past stuff. I hope you'll stick with me even when I, review stuff like Halo stuff. Maybe you'll actually get interested in reading those. I don't know. And I think I'll probably read Dune at some point. And, maybe suggestions that you guys bring up. But, yeah, I am excited to get to all that. And I'll see you in the next Expanding Universe video, whenever that is. But it's been a journey. And for all of you who have joined me during that journey, thank you. Thank you, Matt Wilkins, for shouting me out when you did. That was really nice of you. I only mentioned it. I only mentioned my channel because I had just released Vector Prime, or whatever it was, right before you did. And that's the only reason I mentioned it. And then you said it on stream, and you subscribed and told other people too. And, I always enjoy your videos. Even the board game stuff, which I don't care about. I'm not a board game person. Besides D&D, which I would like to do at some point. I would like to do role-playing with people. I just don't have anybody to play with. But I love your videos. They are so great, and you seem like such a genuinely awesome person. If you people who are watching these videos of mine, if you don't know who Matt Wilkins is, please go give him a subscription. He deserves it far more than I do. But anyway, that is it for today. I can't believe I'm at the end. But I can't wait to start at the very beginning too, which will be in a bit. But I will see you all when that comes up, and I hope you'll join me on my journey chronologically, completely in order through the Expanded Universe. Until then, may the Force be with you. And may the EU live and be continued. I would really love that. Till next time.